Good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing today? I hope you're well. Yay, let's have some sofa time on Sunday. What else are we going to do at the moment? Well, I had been planning to be in the garden, but I don't think you'll get a sense of it. It's really quite overcast. Never mind that, the wind is biting cold. I think it was only at the beginning of this year that I discovered on the weather forecast thing, the BBC weather forecast that I look at online, that if you click on the temperature, it gives you a feels like temperature. So today it's about 8 degrees out there, which is pretty chilly for this time of year. But then I clicked on the feels like button and it said feels like 1. It's like we're back in the depths of winter after a week of sunshine. Never mind. I'm at home instead. I've got loads of little bits and bobs to do. I won't bore you with everything I'm going to be doing, but yes, lots of little bits and bobs. So at the moment, well, normally, get your thoughts in order, Vivi. Normally, when I'm at home, if I'm doing a whole day sewing or, whatever else it is, excuse me a second, I would put sport on in the background, either on the radio or if it's on the box, whatever. So I'd have that on, I can listen, it sort of keeps me company as I'm working. If it's something really exciting, I might stop what I'm doing for 5 minutes to have a little look. We've got no sport. It's really, really odd. And I think you all know by now that I'm an absolute sport nut. My year, maybe that's why I'm so disconnected this year, why I feel so discombobulated and sort of out of sequence with things, because my year is kind of, there's a rhythm to the year and it follows sport generally. So, as you all know, my top favourite sport is tennis. So, around about now, I'd be starting to get really excited for Roland Garros. After Roland Garros, we then come over to the UK and we have all the grass court, the whole warm-up season for Wimbledon. So we'd have Eastbourne, Queen's. Is it Stella Artois? No, it's changed, hasn't it? I think it's Nature Bar or someone or other. Anyway, then we'd have Wimbledon, and then the minute Wimbledon finishes, I've got the Tour de France, that finishes, I've got the Vuelta, and then of course this year I would have the Olympics. Oh my goodness. I remember it must have been about the 2nd of January this year. I woke up that morning and I suddenly remembered we were in an Olympic year. I was like, yes. So, that's all gone. Yeah. So, what I found is I've been listening to music loads more. I mean, I often listen to music as well as sport, either, on the radio or on my hi-fi. On my hi-fi. So, and it's great, and I think it was one of the things I was mentioning about a week ago of when I did that little quickie about staying sane at this time, if you're indoors way more than you normally would be, about go through your music collection, go and dig out some albums you haven't listened to in the longest time. So I have been doing that, and then I think it was a couple of days ago, the lovely Richard from Richard and Paul did one of his daily vlogs. So I should say, for any of those of you who don't know, so Richard and Paul on YouTube, I'm sure some of you are familiar with them and you follow their gardening exploits, if nothing else, and their Sunday chat. They have a Facebook group called Planet Vegetaria, and it's a lovely Facebook group. It's all about sharing positive stuff. So it's always chock full of photographs of beautiful gardens, beautiful recipes, and dishes that have been cooked, wildlife and nature in general, but it's all incredibly positive. And as part of that group, Richard has been for, a few weeks now, doing a little sort of mini daily vlog, about sort of 5 or 6 minutes. And then, so you can access that through their Facebook group. Look at me giving them this big free promotion today. Hello, boys. But then at the end of the week, Richard edits it all together and puts it out on YouTube. So if you're not on their page, why aren't you? You can check it out on YouTube. The reason I'm mentioning this is because a couple of days ago in his daily vlog, Richard was talking about music as well and was saying if for some reason he had to grab just 20 of his CDs and run, I don't know, if the house was on fire, God forbid, and you had to save 20 albums, which would you save? I thought, I'm gonna have a little go at that too. I've got some here. I decided not to do 20. I've cut mine down to 10. Well, I tried to do 10. I've ended up with 11. So yeah, this last week or so much, I was going to say time has been about music. It doesn't take time, it's just that it's been in my mind quite a bit, and I've been playing a few albums I haven't listened to for years and remembering them, and some of the really upbeat ones, having a little jig around in the living room, thank God no one can see. So I thought, let's see if I can do a top 10 of my favourite albums. So hard. Firstly, because just like with my books, I'm going to talk about a couple of books today as well. 2 gorgeous new books. My music, like my books, is incredibly eclectic. You know, you look at one bit and think, that's a teenage girl lives in this house. You look at another bit and you think it's some grumpy old man. So it's been really hard. And just trying to do that sort of reminded me of, sorry, hairy face. I think it was in 2010. Yes, in 2010, for my birthday, I was given an iPod. I know, I'd literally only just got a computer. I had to learn how to put a CD, my album, into the computer, to download it into the computer, to then upload it into my iPod. But wow, it was a revelation to me to walk around with this little device that could hold, literally my entire album collection. And that meant, because, hang on, switch thoughts around. I was still, do you know what that is? Okay, so my 2 youngest viewers, Aaron and Logan, they're not even going to know what that is, are they? Just the aesthetics of it, the sound of the box opening, the feel of it, the rattle of it. So until 2010, I had still been a Sony Walkman girl. And I had a really lovely Walkman. I had saved and saved and saved for it. Bought the most expensive, best model I could, because my music was and still is really important to me. So until that point of getting the iPod, I'm sure loads of you will remember this. You know, you might have a rainy Sunday afternoon and you sit with your hi-fi and make a compilation tape. Yay! So, I do a happy, upbeat tape or a kind of mellow, chill out tape, that sort of thing. But yeah, when I got this iPod, it was amazing. I was still a student nurse, and I remember going on the bus, and my bus ride to that hospital where I was training, it could take anything up to an hour. Traffic used to be awful. So I'd get on the bus and I'd start listening to a tune, and then I think, that's not the mood I'm in. I'm not quite in that mood, I want something else. And with the iPod, of course, my whole collection was there. I could listen to anything. Or I could put it on shuffle. Imagine it. Oh, my excitement. I'm so behind with technology. That's why it was so exciting to me. I'm sure you probably all had iPods way before me, but for me it was amazing. And you're probably thinking, well, you can download all your tunes now, I don't have a smartphone, so downloading tunes, that's not an option for me. I am old school. My telephone is about, oh gosh, my phone's about 15 years old. It's a little old Nokia. Doesn't do music, doesn't do photos. Every now and again someone sends me a clip to my phone and I have to message back to say, I can't see it, can you send it to my messenger on Facebook please, because phone's useless. Anyway, so that's my long roundabout way of saying I have got a very, very, very eclectic taste. It was really hard to narrow it down. And 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I've ended up with 11. So, I'm going to start with the non-pop music, of which I've got 4. So I kind of went into my different categories. I love my show tunes, absolutely love a show tune. It's the kind of stuff I sing in the house all the time when I'm on the allotment. You know, whether it's modern musicals or the older musicals, you know what, they just know how to write a good tune and they're all belters, they're great. So, how to pick my favourite? Well, in the end I went with Chicago. Ooh. I think I've gone for Chicago in the end because not only are they fantastic tunes to belt out, but if I'm at home doing it, I can't help but get a bit... Sorry, Bob Fosse. That was more Tommy Cooper. Yeah, I can't help but do moves as well. Bob Fosse. Amazing. So yeah, love Chicago. I'm sure most of us know so many of the tunes, even if we don't realise it's come from Chicago. Cellophane, Mr. Cellophane. Anyway, I can't sing any of them because I'll get done for copyright. So that's my choice from my musicals department. In the classical department, this is where I did one extra. I've gone for Prokofiev's Romeo and Juliet. Sorry, Juliet. God, my speech coach from drama school had me say Juliet. She'd have rapped me on the knuckles. Romeo and Juliet. Juliet. To rhyme with Capulet. Or to scan with. Love it. I've always loved it. There are so many, you know, wonderfully rousing moments, and then there are lovely, quiet, mellow moments. And of course, listening to it, I can't help but picture the ballet as well. So it's like ticking 2 boxes in one go. Fantastic. And also in the classical department, Beethoven's Eroica. Again, just... Actually, this was really hard to choose because I wanted to have Scheherazade. I still want to have Scheherazade. And then I think of Elgar's Cello Concerto. Oh, too many to choose from, but I've picked Eroica. Then I've got quite a lot of music that you might put into the sort of the jazz, bluesy, slightly old, I don't know how you describe it, all sorts. And I was thinking, you know, Ella Fitzgerald, I love her. Oh, so many great, you know, the is it chanteurs, whatever, Edith Piaf, but I've come down on and decided on a bit of Hoagie Carmichael. Love it. There's just something about it that always, yeah, it's just, it always makes me feel chilled and happy. I don't know why, I can't put my finger on it. But you see, now that I've picked Hoagie, I'm thinking I should have picked Edith or Ella. Frank Sinatra should be in there as well. I've gone with Hoagie. So now we come into pop. in my little pile, they're in alphabetical order because I keep all my albums in alphabetical order. Of course you do, you want to know where to find things. Of course, in at number 1, in the pop section, oh, have I just bust the cover? I've just bust the cover. Hang on a second. In at number 1, in the pop section, you cannot beat a good bit of ABBA! Yes! Come on! So I've chosen my Forever Gold album because I'm just counting 39 tracks. It would have been really hard to choose one single album because, you know, almost every album's got a favourite song on it. So I've gone with my ABBA Forever Gold because it's got all the best ones on it. Love it. You can't not love a bit of ABBA, can you? Because they're, you know, so many of them are upbeat and they're fun, and somehow we all know all the words, and that's the other great thing, isn't it? When you know an album really well and you can belt it out along with the album. Great. You know, there is a lot of scientific research out there, and just have a quick Google, you'll see loads of how good for us music is. It actually releases endorphins, in particular choral singing. So singing in a choir rather than singing on your own is so good for us. And I think, you know, I think we're all aware at the moment of the importance of our mental health. Whatever it takes you to stay, you know, to stay okay, go for it. Sing. Go on, stick an album on, stick some ABBA on. Even things like, I haven't included them in my top 10, the Spice Girls. Love it. It's kind of trashy, throwaway music, but it makes us feel good, doesn't it? A bit of Kylie. I know, you're shocked, aren't you? Anyway, so my second in my pop albums, now this was really hard to choose one album from this artist because I love him. David Bowie, Hunky Dory. If you stay, you won't be sorry. You know, I've always enjoyed Bowie. Looking through all the albums, I think I've chosen this one because it really reminds me of an absolutely wonderful time in my life, sort of between 16 and 18. I'd left school, I was travelling far away to a different college so I could do my performing arts, met a whole new bunch of friends, all sorts of ages and backgrounds, and I was sort of becoming independent, and in a way, Hunky Dory is the soundtrack to me transitioning from being a child in my mother's home to becoming an adult, and finally, or it felt finally to me, but beginning to express who I was. Great. Oh, my anthem. Now we come into a slightly, I put these in pop, they're not really pop, but I love I love folk music, I love country music, I love all music, but I particularly love Nancy Griffith, One Fair Summer Evening. I mean, her voice is just, it's just ridiculously beautiful. Her lyrics are amazing. I'm going to go a bit quiet and speechless. I can't even express it. It's just beautiful. The her track, is it From a Distance? From a Distance, yeah. Anyway, really beautiful. If you've never listened to Nancy Griffith, you may not realise it. You may have already heard her. If you haven't, I highly recommend looking her up and having a listen. I think this is, I've got all sorts of albums, but I think this has got like all her big main songs on it. Give it a go. It's so beautiful. There's a humour to her as well. All her songs, I find they're incredibly tender, but there's a humour to them as well. Really beautiful. This one as well, sort of, she's in a way similar to Nancy Griffith's, Madeleine Peyroux. I think she is she a French Canadian? I'm not sure. But again, it's very kind of sort of country bluesy, folksy, very chilled. Some of it is really mellow, some of it is more kind of upbeat, but again, stunningly gorgeous voice. Actually, when I was trying to pick these, I was trying to pick them out last night, I hadn't really thought about this or realised it, but apart from bands, where I've got music from bands, where I've got solo artists, it's nearly all female. Makes sense, I guess, that a female voice speaks to me more than male voice, but there's a lot of, in my collection, there's a lot of this kind of Nancy Griffiths, Madeleine Peyroux, that kind of feel. Gillian Welch, I really like Gillian Welch too. Right, now, going into, and I reckon you've all got at least one of these in your collection. This is the really upbeat, fab stuff that just makes me joyous to listen to. The stuff that I really, really sing loudly at home. Supertramp, yay! It's the double album Paris. So this is from their, this is a recording from their gig in Paris. And I love it. I think when they do Breakfast in America, is that Breakfast in America? They, you can hear they're sort of shouting to the crowd before they get really into singing the song. But they talk about breakfast around the world, and every time they say something in French like a croissant for breakfast, because it's breakfast in Paris, not America, crowd roar, love it. I reckon a ton of you have got that one in your collection, haven't you? Who doesn't love Supertramp? If you're around about my age, I reckon if you're anywhere between 45 and 55, 65, you've got Supertramp in your collection. Building up, building up. This is my last two. Getting better and better. I think this might surprise you all. Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell. No, 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 no. I'm not going to do it. I can't because of copyright. But I honestly, I don't know why. I think when I was about 14 or so, I first watched the Rocky Horror Show. Until then, I hadn't known Meatloaf. And when Meatloaf did his appearance, the first time I saw Meatloaf doing his appearance in the Rocky Horror Show, I was like, who is that guy? He's mad. He's raucous. I love him. And then, I don't know, a year or so later, a friend introduced me to Meatloaf. And I always thought, oh, it's the metal brigade, it's the headbanging brigade, whatever. Because I was a proper little indie chick. But I secretly started to listen to him. Loved it, love it ever since. And again, it's one of those, Paradise by the Dashboard Light. It's one of those you can put on, turn the volume up really loud. Now listen, just before anyone worries about my neighbours, I don't have a neighbour that side. Well, I sort of do, part-time. That when I put my new flooring in, when I moved into this place, when I put flooring in, I put soundproofing in. So my neighbour is never bothered. And finally, this is the ultimate for being loud, for feel good, for sing along. Just going to take it out of its cardboard sleeve. We all know the words to all the songs, and this is the Platinum Collection. It's a 3D set, so it's pretty much everything that's worth listening to by Queen. I mean, come on. If you don't like Queen, what is wrong with you? There must be something wrong with you. Oh, you know what? I really don't need to say anything, do I? But I'm just like, I want to go and put this on right now. In fact, the minute I finish stopping talking, I'm too excited. When this is done, I'm going to be putting this on full blast while I edit you lot. Fab. So yeah, I couldn't quite manage 10. I ended up going with 11. It's fairly eclectic. I mean, let's face it, from from Bad Out of Hell to Beethoven. It's all there. Yay! So, how many of those are in your top 10? Like I say, I reckon out of Queen, Bat Out of Hell, or Meatloaf and Supertramp, I'm reckoning most of you are going to have at least one of those in your collection. I didn't even touch on my Madonna collection. That's what I mean about how some of this like really sort of trashy, poppy, kind of throwaway music, actually, you know, let's not dismiss that kind of lowbrow music, as some might put it, because they do endure. These tunes do endure. How many of us, you know, if I said to you Madonna, think of a Madonna song, boom, I'm sure most of you will know it. Start humming it to yourself. Fab. Enjoy. Right, so, oh crikey, looking at the time. This is supposed to be a quickie. So the other thing at the moment, with a lack of sport, some days that aren't suitable for going to the garden, of course I'm trying to get on with the sewing again. I've really hardly done any sewing this month. Still, if I'm honest, I'm still struggling with the whole energy thing from this you know what. Not the COVID you know what, the vitamin D you know what. So I'm not being as productive as normal, unfortunately, but I'm giving myself a break, you know, I'm just letting my body dictate. So for some of the times that I'm not in the garden or sewing, getting on with some reading, and I've got my next 2 books lined up which I wanted to share with you because they both look really beautiful. This is actually, so this is Penelope Lively, Life in the Garden, and I don't know if you can make out on the cover, this is like, oh, I don't think you can make it ever so slightly raised. This is like a decoupage of pressed flowers. So, isn't that pretty? So you may know her for, what's her novel? Moon Tiger. I think it's Moon Tiger. I've never actually read anything by Penelope Lively before. This was a present for my birthday last summer. Thank you, Jen. I'm just in the introduction at the moment, but what I love already, and I've flicked through, there's an index as well. What I'm kind of picking up on and loving already is the kind of tying in gardens and literature. So it looks like there's a whole chunk in here to do with Virginia Woolf. I think probably Vita Sackville West as well, which many of you may know her garden at Sissinghurst. It's funny actually, the time I went to Sissinghurst, I wasn't at all bothered about seeing the garden. I just wanted to go and look at Vita Sackville West's writing room, which you can see in one of the towers. But yeah, I think this is going to really, really be a lovely book for me. My 2 great passions, you know, gardening and literature, what could be better? So I was just going to show the titles of they're not chapters as such, but they go along the lines of The Written Garden, The Fashionable Garden, Time, Order and the Garden, Style and the Garden, Town and Country. And like I say, there's an index at the back, and I can see from the index straight away there are references to Virginia Woolf's Kew Gardens, her book To the Lighthouse and The Waves. I can see a bit of Sackville West in there as well. Oh, the Sitwells are in there. Sir Cheverell, Osbert, Edith. Sissinghurst gets a mention. Oh, I can't wait. And then for each section of the book, just try and show you, it's just a very, very, very simple little line illustrations, little line drawings at the beginnings of each chapter, each part. Very simple, very simple. But, you know, this kind of book, I love it. There's so much to it. The aesthetic pleasingness of the actual object itself. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? the feel of it. It's a new book, so it smells like a new book. I like the smell of new books, I like the smell of old books, but the whole thing, everything is aesthetically pleasing. This beautiful matte cover, the little illustrations, the size of the book, everything about it is gorgeous. Thank you, Jan. And that's why I will never be a Kindle reader. I know, paper and all that. But in fairness, the vast majority of my books, apart from those that are gifted to me, the vast majority of my books are second-hand. So they're being recycled. So I've got that. And then, oh, let's have a quick slug of water. And then a book I had for Christmas. I don't think I spoke about this at Christmas. I don't think so. From my sister. Now, it's funny, isn't it? Because normally I don't like other people buying books for me because they don't know what I want. Except for really close friends or family, because, of course, they do know what I like. And again, this is... Oh, can you get a sense of that? So aesthetically pleasing. This one is called Seaweed Chronicles. A world, what does it say? A world at the water's edge. The wonders of a hidden world. I'm just going to read you this very last little bit, which is an extract. This book is about seaweeds and seaweed harvesting. It is also a collection of stories about individual people who work and live at the shore and what they have shared with me of their lives. It's about wildlife, fish, birds, snails and clams, the tiny scuds and the big eagle throwing its dark shadow across the bay. They teach me about what's worth saving. So this author, Susan Hand Shetterly, it looks like she lives in Maine from what's written on the back. Like I say, again, it's so aesthetically pleasing, this book. It's quite tiny, little tiny thing. Beautiful, beautiful cover. The pages, oh, they just fall beautifully. I am going to love this book, I think. Seaweed stories, ghost fish, the common eider duck, the European green crab, the underwater forest, the Gulf of Maine, Flat Island. Yeah, really looking forward to that. And it looks like, it says here, the author of Settled in the Wild. I don't know that. I think I will have to look that one up as well. I don't know how much of her stuff is available in the UK, how much has been published in the UK. Oh, I've just seen one of her other books. It's called Swimming Home. I'm definitely going to have to look that one out. I'm not a strong swimmer. I can't swim very far. I can't swim very far at all these days. I've lost all my strength and condition. But I love, love, love being in water. Even if I'm just bobbing in water, it's beautiful. Just while we're here, you often see this. Bear with me, I'm just going to the bookshelves, everyone. You often see this book over my shoulder when I'm doing my thoughts on. Oh, gorgeous. This is called, you see it, Wild Swim. Oh, Hailstorm. I knew there was a reason not to go to the garden today. Wild Swim by Kate Rue. Subtitle, River, Lake, Lido, and Sea. The best places to swim outdoors in Britain. It's gorgeous. I'm going to try and show, oh, the light, never mind. You see. So there's Lido's. Oh, this is one of our local, well, it used to be local to me, Lido. Where's it gone? It's tooting back. Yeah, is that tooting back? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, so, and then there's all sorts of, there's rivers. Oh, look, nudie man. Actually, let me show it to you this way, and the light's going to be better. But it's gorgeous. It's full of, so yes, lakes, ponds and tarns. I want to find the bit on, so anyway, this, oh gosh, look at that. Hang on a sec. I'm so sorry. I bet you all want to go for a swim now, don't you? I know I do. Yes, 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 please. Oh, So when this book came out, oh, was it in the 90s? It was mid-90s, I think. Let me just see. When was it published? Of course, I had to have it straight away. It's one of those... Oh, well, the preface, the foreword was written in 2008, so yeah. End of the... Was that a revised edition? Look, it doesn't matter. I'm waffling. When I saw this book come out, I was like, I have to have it. It's absolutely my thing. It's one of those books where, you know, if you can't get out and if you can't go for your swim, it's so lovely to just read about these places and to see these gorgeous pictures and imagine a time when one can. So I galloped through it looking, and then, shock horror, in here she mentions my very, very, very secret wild swimming place down at my grandparents'. So if you saw the video when I went back down there with my sister, my cousin and his wife, we had the walk down the cliff and I had to stop and let them go on because I can't manage that very, very steep cliff. The direction they were going in is to our family's secret wild swimming place. So she put it in the book. It's like, are you kidding me? Now everyone's going to be going there. I don't mind sharing it, really. So yes, I'm going to have my bit of garden time, my bit of seaweed time, and now that I've yanked this off the shelf, I should probably have a little dip into that too. I might put it next to the bath, so when I'm having my next bath, I can dip in, close my eyes for a few minutes and pretend that I'm in some wild water somewhere and not in my bathtub water. I'm never that filthy that the bathtub looks like wild water. Please don't worry. Anyway, yes, so there we go. Let's wrap up. So I'm keeping myself busy and occupied. To be honest, you know, for me, it's like, it's as usual. It's my usual behaviours. The only thing that's not usual at the moment is having no sport to enjoy. But, you know, maybe it's a blessing because I'm re-enjoying all my albums that have been long since unplayed. You see, I get excited. That's the other thing with our album collections, isn't it? That I don't know how many albums I've got. Not a huge amount. Maybe 150 albums or something. And I have whittled them down over the years. I've given albums away and what have you. But when I think about how many I've got, and I'm just looking over at some of them there, some of them are down there, you know, it's probably the same 15, 20 albums that we put our hands out to, isn't it, and listen to. It's like with clothing, isn't it? We probably have 100 outfits in the wardrobe, but we're always wearing the same 20 things. So yeah, why don't you go and have a little look at your album collection today? And don't go for the most obvious choice straight away. Go and find an album you haven't listened to for years. Have a listen. You know what, if it still lights your fire... Oh, I didn't include the Doors, did I? I want to listen to the Doors now. Yeah, if it doesn't still light your fire, why don't you set it aside to give to a charity shop? When all this is done, when we can start being out and about again, wouldn't it be amazing if we can all go through our homes and have a big old clear out, sort out, set things aside for a charity shop to sell, to make some money for them? And I think they're going to really, really need help from us in a few months down the line, like I say, when all this is over. But never mind any of that for now. For now, go and put an album on, crank the volume up if it's not going to bother your neighbours. Crank it up, sing, dance, jiggy about in your... That doesn't sound right, does it? Because jiggy is like... Getting jiggy is sexy time, isn't it? I didn't mean sexy time. Get jigging to the music, don't get jiggy. Well, if you want to get jiggy, hey. You've got to pass the time somehow. Oh my goodness, there's going to be a baby boom, isn't there? Right, let's stop talking about sexy time. Don't want to give anyone ideas. Why don't you put some nice quiet choral music on and behave yourselves? If you don't fancy that, if you're enjoying the quiet at the moment, grab a book, curl up on the sofa. If it's a bit chilly, put your blanket over yourself and just lose yourself in another beautiful little parallel world somewhere. Right. Queen or meatloaf? Actually, I think it's going to be meatloaf. So, I'll see you all again really soon. I'll be wrapping up the end of the month in a couple of days, and then I'll be back to the garden. Just letting this, we've got a few days of really cold weather. That doesn't bother me, because I can wrap up. It's more about the things I want to do in the garden. I want it to just get a little bit warmer. But yes, you will see me in the garden again very soon. So until then, please take care of yourselves, amuse yourselves, have fun, explore this new world and explore the quiet times as well as the noisy times. But yeah, have fun doing it. Cheerio.